Welcome to Tamer Bowling Video Ball Reviews.
We need your support, so if you like what we do, please support us by joining our Patreon page.
Don't forget to check out our partner, pureitbowling.com, for all your bowling needs. In this episode, we are testing the new Storm Super Soniq. We are testing it on a medium high volume house shot and a 39-foot PBA Bear pattern. First impressions, the Super Soniq is early, chuggy, and turns. The centripetal HD core always deserved a stronger cover. For value, we gave it a B. The Super Soniq is in Storm's master line, so mid-high priced. It's going to offer a fair amount of bowlers an option, but is a strong ball that definitely leans towards the higher volume patterns. Overall for house shot, we gave it a B and sport shot a B+. When the Soniq was first released, it had that long and strong ball motion, but even with the angle it generated, I always felt the motor was undercovered. It felt like the core was fighting to cover a bit. Now, a lot of bowlers had success with it, but many I know found that success once some surface was applied, and this made a lot of sense to me. So Storm did what I asked and put the centripetal HD core inside the much stronger hybrid NRG cover. So I should be happy, right? Well, I am. So what do we have? I called it lumbering in a Soniq review. Some call it chuggy. Chuggy is definitely the right word for the Super Soniq. The cover is aggressive, as is the core. So I had to move deep enough so that it doesn't read very early. Once I got deep enough, the ball looked great. I didn't have to get so far in that I lost hit. And with a defined traction, I saw really strong motion and drive through the pins. Where I left flat corners with the Soniq, not a chance with the Super. The ball looked so good for me, actually. Where this slicker pattern has given me fits occasionally to match up with the right strength ball, the earliness of the cover, chugginess of the core, but still strong, what I call storm back-end movement, I was striking almost every time once I got deep enough. Quick comparison to the Physix, we saw that kind of similar lumbering move with a touch more length due to some mild lane shine, but the biggest difference is the Physix had a more abrupt asim turnover, which felt a little less usable on this house pattern for me. Jordan was next, and he's our two-handed tester. Jordan likes to keep his angles as closed as possible, relatively speaking, but the Super Soniq strength forced him into the fourth arrow. Jordan has a very forward roll, as is the case with many two-handers. He had to get deep enough with the Super Soniq to bleed some of the cover energy in the oil while ensuring he's not so deep that the ball quits. Jordan had a very good look with the Super Soniq, as it definitely stored enough energy to make it up the hill. That heavy end-over-end roll with the symmetric centripetal core meant it was continuous enough to carry very well. This is the kind of ball he might use with a bit more volume or longer patterns, but he had no problem tossing it on our house shot. Compared to the Physix, he saw a bit sharper hook set motion with the asim core from the same line, so it deflected through the pins. So he had to go a little straighter to get the continuous high flush look out of the Physix. Finally, Bryan gives the Super Soniq a whirl, and this ball is somewhat in a tricky zone for Bryan. He didn't really match up too well to the original Soniq, and the Super Soniq has a strong cover that pushes Bryan away from the outside friction, which he likes to play near. And if he gets too far in, the ball bleeds too much energy to make the turn. So he has a small window for a good hit with the Super Soniq on this pattern. And you could see the core's chugginess or lumbering, especially as it swirls down lane. With the cover's aggressiveness, it slows down enough, and the core doesn't seem to quite shape strong enough for Bryan down lane. This will be more effective with a lot more oil through the front, where he can still play more direct and take advantage of more stored energy. When comparing to the Physix, honestly, he saw pretty much the same thing, and the cover is just not matching up to him very well. For the sport shot, we tested on the 39-foot Bear pattern, and for me, I really like the shape. I love when a ball has down lane shape where I don't have to make it shape. And you can see how much traction but still retaining power at the pins the Super Soniq had. I never once felt the ball wasn't going to turn over, which I worried about due to that sort of lumbering, but honestly it was unwarranted. You can see the physics was actually a board or so weaker, but very nice shape for the pattern. For Jordan, the Super Soniq is just way too much ball, too much surface, forces him in deep where carry gets iffy with his very forward low tilt roll. When he finally gets into the fifth arrow, you do see the shape. The ball was rarely under. There we go. For Bryan, the Super Soniq was similar to the house shot, but probably exacerbated because there is more shape overall in this pattern, which means he has to get even deeper, tightening his line even further. Final thoughts. Storm has made their symmetric line more versatile by adding the Super Soniq. And the Super Soniq is an interesting piece which will hit the mark for some and maybe be unmatched for others. Personally, I found it match really well with my tweener style. It's not the easiest thing to get through the fronts, so I have to open up my angles, but luckily the ball turned over well, as did the original. For Jordan, he's generally not going to have issues getting the ball to turn over, and he had no issues. Does he need this much ball for these patterns? Probably not. But for Bryan, with his style and tilt, the Super Soniq didn't really feel versatile enough, nor matched. But ultimately, this should give you enough information to make a decision if the Super Soniq fits in your arsenal.
I need to tell you the one Tamer Elbaga reviews.